Y'all wonder why people in Africa is uprising along with us? It's because they're getting treated the same way we are here in America. So we all are familiar with this chart, right? We all know they consider Black and African American as dead in their books. This is why it seems like we have no rights. One thing I'm gonna make clear is that all the melanated people in America is not Africans. Most of us have never been there. We don't even look alike. We are the Egyptians. We live in Egypt. This is the Garden of Eden. The Mississippi River is the Nile River. They came up with the term African American to throw everyone off. Because why don't Africans have their own category? Most importantly, how can North Africa be considered as white, but not African when they live in Africa? Now, do y'all see this deception? Here's the regions of Africa that the UN created. As y'all can see, the Western Sahara, Morocco, Algeria, Libya, Sudan, and of course, Egypt, which was the first state of North Africa. So basically, since North Africa is white, this means they looked the plan the whole time and helped with the lie about Egypt, making y'all think it's a little country like that compared to the whole continent of America. Now look at the size of Europe. How is it possible that it took over the whole world? Something's off about that. And I told y'all plenty of times before, it's a different race of entities. And I know y'all heard that during the world wars, there was spaceships and other beings. But of course, everybody want to call those vets crazy. Even stories of how the ops saved melanated people, saying they was fighting for them, and they had no clue what they was talking about. Now go watch this video. I go into deep detail proving how they trapped us in the system of energy exchange. Just do a little research. This is when all the contracts started getting signed too. But this is one of the most important ones, the Antarctic Treaty. Around 1960, this is when they started hiding where we live, so you don't know who we are. They even started changing the name of countries. Now let's look at the main signees. Of course, we're gonna see the United States and the United Kingdom. But look, South Africa. So these are the main conspirators of the brainwashing in order to pull off a reset. So guess what? The BRICS nations is a part of the reset. It literally stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Out of all places. Even all the countries interested is a part of their squad. They even say the French president, Emmanuel Macron, will attend the summit. The same guy that works for the banking system that the Rothschilds created that put us all in slavery. Because he's a descendant, just like the rest of them. Now let's look at these countries in Europe. Russia's number one, of course. But notice, Germany, United Kingdom, France, Italy, Portugal. You'll find that these countries is who almost every country gained their independence from. Once again, how does that even make sense? So I'm about to break down the regions in Africa so you can understand further on what I'm trying to explain to y'all. I'm going to start with South Africa since it's a part of BRICS nations. So you see the sub-region of Southern Africa, and it consists of 3 countries. So South Africa gained its independence in 1961 from the UK. These are the first presidents of South Africa. Then in 1994, Nelson Mandela was the first melanated person to run as president in South Africa. But of course, clearly, y'all know who really runs South Africa. This is all a game. It's just a company. This is what they mean by colonize, quote unquote independence, when they're just using these people as representatives for their company. So Namibia is the only country in all of Africa that gained its independence from South Africa. Now take a wild guess of why they will be independent from South Africa. Then we have Botswana. It gained its independence from the UK also in 1966. But if y'all can see the bigger picture, as I mentioned earlier, Northern Africa, the yellow region, is theirs. From the very beginning, they started invading southward while flanking from South Africa northward. So now let's look at Western Africa. We got Nigeria, gained its independence in 1960 from the UK. But guess who's the head of state at 1960 to 1963? The Queen of Nigeria, Elizabeth II, who was also the Queen of the United Kingdom. So how did they gain their independence? But yet, it's still listed under the Queen. And now we have Liberia, supposedly the only place that hasn't been colonized. And the only place that declared their independence from American colonization society. But yet, the current president is a former professional football player. It sounds pretty American to me. And y'all gotta excuse me, because I'm sure I'm gonna pronounce these names wrong. Mauritania declared independence from France in 1961. Mali declared independence from France in 1965. Its recent president was overthrown in 2021. Anything happened with inside this pandemic, it's hard to tell if it's really the ops or the actual people that's taking over. Then we got Niger, declared independence from France in 1960. Then we have Benin, declared independence from France in 1960. Then we have Togo, declared independence in 1961 from Germany. Then we have Ghana, declared their independence in 1960 from the UK, but the first head of state was the Queen. Then we have Burkina Faso, declared independence from France in 1960, but its recent president in 2022 was overthrown. Cote d'Ivoire declared independence in France in 1960. Sierra Leone declared independence from the UK in 1961. The first head of state was the Queen. Then we have Guinea, declared independence from France in 1958. The recent president was overthrown also. Then we have Guinea-Bissau, declared independence from Portugal in 1965. Then we have Gambia, declared independence in 1965 from the UK. The Queen was also the first head of state. Senegal declared independence from France in 1960. So basically, 1960 is right after the Antarctic Treaty, like I mentioned earlier on in the video. This is what I mean by them changing everything. They're creating companies, changing names and borders. Because honestly, if you look deeper into it, all these countries was already owned by them before they was even named. But it's not like that in America. That's the big difference here. See, when they invaded, they landed in the Middle East. Then they spread out to colonize. So now we gotta look at Central Africa. Chad declared independence from France in 1960, but the recent president was assassinated. We got Cameroon declared independence from France in 1960. The Central African Republic declared its independence from France in 1960. Gabon declared independence from France in 1960. The Republic of Congo declared its independence from France in 1960. The Democratic Republic of Congo declared their independence from Belgium in 1960. Its recent president was assassinated also. Then we have Angola, declared independence from Portugal in 1975. When the years was pushed back, that means there was a war, and it was the Angola War. Y'all can look all this up yourself in further detail. So now we about to look at Eastern Africa. We have Ethiopia. They consider as being in pre-crisis phase from 1942 to 1960. And the crisis phase from 1960 to 1974, and then the Civil War from 1974 to 1991. So it seems as though they just never stopped fighting. Also, their recent president was assassinated. Now we got South Sudan. It's been at war since 1955, and quote-unquote got its independence in 2011 from Sudan. Then we have Somalia, declared its independence from 1960 from the UK. Its recent president was assassinated. Now we have Kenya. It declared independence from the UK in 1963, and their first head of state was the Queen. Then we have Uganda, declared independence in 1962 from the UK. Their first head of state was the Queen. Then we got Zambia. It declared independence from the UK in 1964. And now we got Malawi. It declared independence from the UK in 1964. And their first head of state was the Queen. And then we have Zimbabwe. It declared independence in 1980 from the UK. Now we got Mozambique. It declared independence in 1975 from Portugal, after their war from 1964 to 1974. Then we got Madagascar. It declared independence from France in 1960. Last but not least, Tanzania declared independence from the UK in 1961. But recently, this president was assassinated and replaced with a woman. The usual federal government type of thing. But take a wild guess why. Contrary to leaders elsewhere in the world manning for order, the hot sauce 19 testing to stop and resisted calls to implement the public health during the hot sauce 19 in Tanzania. He also expressed distrust from American and European developed, preferring to rely on faith to protect his nation. They say his approach been characterized as hot sauce 19 denialism. So yeah, as y'all can see, all those dates correlate to the world wars and the Antarctic Treaty, because they were starting a process of brainwashing us and controlling us with low frequencies. So we are now on the verge of them having complete control over everything, if enough of us don't wake up to the truth in time. I hope y'all see the picture of what's really happening around here and what they're trying to do, trying to genocide and get rid of particular DNA. But anyways, y'all know how I keep it. Y'all be guys. Peace.